Feeling confused about what feminine and masculine energy imbalances are? Well, then this video is for you. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola, and here on Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things bridging mental wellness and spirituality for nurses. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the masculine and feminine energy imbalances. Let's have a discussion about what it is, what it might show up as in your life from day to day, and how are some ways that you can start to bring more balance into your life. But before we get into all that, I invite you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're updated on any future video releases. So the balance of the masculine and feminine energies, the story of my life. When we talk about masculine and feminine energies, there's a lot of different ways we can go about it. Throughout different traditions and views, they have defined these in different ways. For instance, we have the yin and the yang, which represents that feminine being the yin and the yang being the masculine. One is more active and has a bit of a drive to it, and the other, the more feminine, is much more receptive and, dare I say, at times passive energy. When we talk about ourselves as human beings, it's important to know that we, no matter what gender or sex that we are, all have a masculine and feminine aspect. Some people, I'm sure you could see, operate more in one than the other, and it can sometimes throw people off. But ultimately, it's about what feels the most in flow or in balance for each of us at an individual level. But what happens when these energies are off balance? I know for myself, throughout my life, I've witnessed different ways in which I've been more on the feminine side and more on the masculine side. And I would say for me, I tend to go more to the masculine. I'm very much this driven, go get it, and just keep going sort of person. But it's been really this journey for me to learn to just step back and allow the universe to operate a bit more in my life and to kind of give up, I guess, the driver's seat. Because when I am in that super driven way, I tend to miss out, if I can call it that, these opportunities that probably would have come much more simply if I had just surrendered. Also, I find that my physical body can react in different ways with certain body pains and things like that. And a little side note here, that within shamanism, which is a modality or sort of a way of life, I guess that I would say I fall into, is that we have the same sort of polarities of being in energy, except we call it the Stalker, which is the more masculine way, and we have the Dreamer. That Dreamer being the more feminine, receptive, intuitive approach to our being. And so some people have one way in which they can operate more easily, I guess you could say, it's more part of who they are, their personality. But the main goal in life is to be able to move through both of those aspects with ease, to really know when and how we need to show up in the world so that we can respond to the energy around us versus reacting in sometimes a challenging way, which happens a lot when we are in that imbalance. So how would you know you have a masculine imbalance? Oftentimes we see this with a lot of experiences of people having very aggressive, angry sort of tones to their life. Maybe they're getting into a lot of fights, having a lot of physical aggression, emotional, mental aggression. It can really impact them because it's just this forceful energy trying to be channeled through. And with that aggressiveness, we see a lot more action. This is the person that is most likely just go, 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 doesn't want to slow down, can't sit still for very long, just needs to always be distracting themselves and doing things because it helps them to live their life with all this sort of imbalanced masculine energy. There's this hot temperedness, this intensity, this heat, and it can be pretty uncomfortable. This includes then wanting to control things a lot. And I know for myself, this was something that happened is this need to control, especially within relationships with the masculine, where I started to take on basically the roles of our sort of gender societal roles of what a man versus a woman would do. And it was my way of really being in my masculine, or at least so I thought. And we all know that too much action can not always be the best thing. I mean, sure, you might get some things done, but oftentimes we overwhelm ourselves and then nothing actually happens to completion. And also when we talk about these extensions of our self, maybe even our finances and our relationships, the masculine imbalance oftentimes means that people might be giving too much. That's never really the best thing. I mean, we want to have a bit of balance within our life, especially when it comes to supporting people around us. Let's talk about the imbalance of the feminine energy. This is something that's really quite prominent in our society again. Now it seems like a lot of women have kind of tried to take over into the role of the masculine by just doing and controlling all the things. And there's almost like a negative perspective of the feminine just being these passive sort of energies. So what does it look like when there is an imbalance in the feminine energy? It oftentimes happens that this person is very passive, like too passive, maybe not speaking at all, just really just going with whatever anyone says or does around them, even if it doesn't align with their integrity or their values. Which I think in the long term is never really good. It's just like developing a bunch of like sheep or lemmings and they just follow whatever the society says. There also might be this sense of just kind of giving up, like, okay, well, I'm apathetic to this, doesn't matter because I can't do anything. So again, you can see where it's a bit of this very passive energy that isn't necessarily always the best thing in order for us to get things done or to progress on our sacred dream or that life path. Maybe this person is really inactive, they don't look after their body, they just seem to just like, meh, right? And would rather just do nothing. Again, it's about finding this balance. We could do either too much or too little. And especially when we look at relationships, the person in that feminine energy imbalance might just allow the person to walk over them, most likely finds themselves in some pretty toxic experiences and might just give and give and give and not really be able to even receive for themselves, which can also happen. So you've heard a bit about how this imbalance can show up in life. Obviously, knowing that this list is like non-exhaustive, there's so many different ways in which it can show up, and it's you learning what works best for you in your life. So how is it that you can start to shift this imbalance so that you can flow between these energies throughout your day? I think for myself, the main thing has been to switch how I'm doing relationships, switch how I'm showing up in my life, whether it's being too active, then I slow down, or if I'm finding I'm in a place where I'm just like not doing anything and I'm wanting the universe to just like make it all happen, then I know I need to take more steps. So really like becoming aware through mindfulness and through meditation of where you're at in that moment and asking questions of like, okay, what about this needs to be moved towards more balance? How is it that I'm showing up in my life right now? And see what kind of arises intuitively for you as an answer. But yeah, if I'm finding myself in too much action mode, I can see my calendar, I look ahead and I notice that I've like blocked days and days and days of activities and meetings and calls and all this fun stuff. I need to really make sure that I carve out some time for me to just completely slow down. And sometimes it can seem like almost very intense extremes, but I promise you it will start to become more balanced, where you'll start to recognize before you even hit that like super intense way of either being too active or less active. Another thing I found helpful is to notice any repeating patterns in relationships especially. If you're finding that you keep drawing in the same type of people, it's probably worth exploring what is that about? Like, what is that person's characteristics or personality mirroring to you? Oftentimes the things that we are annoyed about with someone are the things that are inside us that we need to start exploring. So by looking at those relationships, those projections that we put on them that are being mirrored back at us, that can really support us in balancing our energy. This can also extend into doing different types of activities. So there's certain activities, you can easily look this up, some that might create more of that masculine active energy. So say working out, like burst cardio activities, lifting weights, kickboxing, certain types of breath work even can really kind of increase that like yang, like intense masculine energy, which can be good, I guess, if you're more on the feminine side. But obviously, if you're already pretty like masculinated, if I can use that word, and intense and action oriented, then probably not the best thing to do that. Maybe instead you take like a nice yin class, a yoga, do some other types of activities like a walk, just really slowing down and stepping out into nature, allowing you to connect to your body in a different way that doesn't involve this intensity. You could also switch up your eating. So, if you're finding you're eating some foods, which I think this is a lot of like Ayurvedic tradition, they look at the foods and see the sort of heat levels and the energies that they bring. And there's different ones that can support you in your body. So you probably want to talk to like an Ayurvedic practitioner or medicine worker, and they can give you more information on that. And really looking into your finances, looking into how you are showing up in the energy of money. Are you giving? Are you open to receiving? What does giving bring up for you even? And what does receiving bring up for you? Because sometimes we might not want to receive and we feel like resentment if we're giving. So checking in with yourself and what you're noticing, just have compassion for you. It's okay. It's now about you creating that change the way you would like to and how you'd like to show up. So explore that for yourself and see how is it that you can maybe open to more receiving. And I'll tie it back again to that question. If you're not sure, like what else could I do about this? Then ask, how can I receive more? How can I give with more heart? How can I start to really show that I am not holding on to certain things in my life with any attachments? And just trust that you will be guided to the different content and conversations and learnings that are needed for you. And this is like part of that healing journey. And ultimately part of us balancing these energies within ourselves. Because until we balance the energy inside, we are constantly going to be bombarded with the intensity of energies in our external world. And we can see it with the imbalance right now of feminine and masculine energies. So again, bringing it back to ourselves. I know as nurses, it's really easy to want to like focus on the patients and all the other things that are happening, but it's ultra important for us to just go within, focus on us, do our healing work, and then trust it's going to start projecting outside of us. And we are also going to be able to teach others through our actions how, life could be a bit more simple. So feel free to leave in the comments anything you'd like to share for you about where you sit in this whole imbalance or balance of the masculine and feminine energies. And feel free to like and share this video with anyone you think might be interested. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in another video. Take care.